um, we have to stop deriving our power from the outside, from the external, whether we're masculine or feminine. And particularly, I think the female, the feminine energy has such a capacity to transform the world right now, if only it stops reacting to the past suppression by men. Meaning, like overcompensating, and I'm sure you find this in business all the time, and maybe you've even experienced it yourself, where there is, out of insecurity, out of subconscious ideas of I'm not equal or I'm not good enough, in order to try to feel powerful as a woman. A lot of women these days will try to compensate for that, or even if their natural state or their natural sense of being who they are looks a certain way, as long as that is too stereotypical, they'll want to move away from that because they believe that means they're unworthy. So we've gotten out of touch with our natural powers, our natural gifts, and we're trying from a very mental place to prove our worth to each other, right? And like I was sharing, especially because there's been like millennia of dominance by the male energy, now, we're all waking up enough to realize that that has to change, and it has been changing, and it continues to change. And I think a lot of conscious men at this moment, like I was sharing at the retreat as well, are really willing and open right now to find that greater balance. They are willing to find that balance with the feminine. But a repercussion of the past suppression is that now women are like standing up for themselves and trying to accumulate and trying to prove their worth and making sure they maintain their independence and separateness, and I don't need men, and that kind of stuff. Or like, I'm going to make it in business. And so that it's very unhealthy for a female composition, for a female body energy system. There's exceptions, but generalizing here. But it's very unhealthy to get out of your natural mode of being feminine, of having that grace and that joy and that power and that love and that service and that holding space and that creating, that creativity, communication. Those skills that are so innate and natural and healthy to the female composition. If that tries to act like a man because the mind thinks that otherwise it's unworthy, or otherwise all they'll be doing is doing the dishes and they'll be unequal, right? That rebellion, although understandable, is unhealthy for the females who play that out, and it won't allow the now more open, more conscious masculine to be met in their desire to share that balance. So that healing needs to really happen.
How can we help them with it? How can we support them? How can we give them a kind of a hint in this few minutes of interview?
Yeah, it's a little tricky, right? Because it really depends on what social circumstance you are in. Because there are certain circumstances where it makes sense for you to maintain your independence and be really clear about your boundaries and that kind of stuff. But there's also social demographics. Let's say, for example, this retreat, where there's a lot of awakened, conscious, loving, well-intended people that want to co-create a beautiful world together. In that type of environment, I would say what I just shared, which is, women of this world, please forgive the imbalance that has been the case for so long, and just embrace your gifts as they are. Don't try to be anything other than what comes completely natural to you, even if that does look like doing the dishes or taking care of the children at home. Don't try to look a certain way to gain power from the outside. Just really trust in your innate creativity and skills, because this is what will balance humanity. This is what this masculine dominated society needs. It needs a powerful, graceful feminine that is respected by the male population. So it really depends on the demographic. It's hard for me to give a guidebook.
You wouldn't advise this kind of atmosphere in a business?
Would it be wonderful? It would be wonderful if the particular females that may be listening to this interview are capable of holding their own space, their own energy, and not digressing to separation or trying to prove their worth. If they can actually maintain this pure feminine confidence and not trying to be better than men or be equal to men or anything along those lines, just forget about all those games. Just show up as you are, in the purity and the power and the grace of as God created you. Just be true to your composition. That would have a powerful effect on the atmosphere in the job. But this would require people to kind of know my work, for example, like be able to embody that, you know. And there's just too many people that don't have the understanding or the awareness that it takes to gracefully hold such frequencies. So it really depends on what audience I'm speaking to as to what
if you're talking men, can you know, you're a man yourself, you're a male leader. Is there something you could bring to them, like that could help them for the next step, maybe in these circumstances? It's not maybe all the way, but the first step is one step.
Continue to soften, continue to embrace, continue to flow, continue to be confident in our penetrative capacities, our leadership capacities, but cultivate a deep sense of love and harmony and compassion with all around us, including obviously the women of this world. Again, it's difficult to give general advice because I'm not sure what audience I'm addressing. In general, I would say it doesn't really matter whether you're female or male, as long as we find that sense of empowerment from within and we start to expose to ourselves those unconscious ideas in like a lack of worthiness, lack of power, lack of freedom, lack of well-being, lack of beauty, like all those lack beliefs. When we start bringing them to the surface, identifying them clearly, and then seeing that these beliefs no longer work for us, they're real. We start to transform them, we start to transcend them, and we get in touch with this much deeper sense of consciousness, of who we are, of what we're capable of. That power is natural power. That's connected to source. That comes straight from within, and that's endless. We can always source what we wish to generate. Once we know that we can always source what we desire to generate, we no longer need to prove ourselves or feel like we have to deprive the world or show the world. We're just natural radiators. All the time, we're just naturally generating empowerment and love and freedom. And when I feel empowered, I don't feel any need to steal from you in any way or manipulate. So for male and female, the same applies. Just find that deep sense of self-love, connectedness to source, and find your unique sense of empowerment. And if you can tap into that and stay true to that, it will take care of everything.